Hello and welcome. I'm Dan, and this series of poses that we're going to do today were inspired by a conversation with a friend who I was talking to and was curious about exercises to help better get up and down from the floor as we age. So um, I did a little research and decided that I would make a video of a sequence of poses and exercises that I think would benefit anyone really, but especially really focus on some of the things that would help you get up and down from the floor better. And you'll also see I have my friend here, the chair. We'll be using the chair quite a bit as we go through some of these poses because sometimes we need a little help, especially if we're struggling in certain positions. So have a chair handy if you think that's going to be helpful for you. And other than that, just want to remind you to remember as you're going through all of this to breathe, to not be judgmental of yourself, and just know that if you do all these things on a regular basis, you will get better, your body will improve and become more flexible and stronger, and getting up and down the floor may become a bit easier for you. So, to that, I hope you enjoy this sequence I put together. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Our first pose today will be standing pose. To come into standing pose, find a nice standing position. Let your feet be as parallel as you can get them. Stand up nice and tall, your shoulders over your hips over your knees over your ankles. Feeling a nice, long, straight body. Stand up nice and tall, let your arms be by your sides. So why do standing pose as part of our practice for getting up and down off the floor? In part, it's just to get ourselves acclimated before we begin our practice here. In part, it's also just a good way to let your feet really become in contact with the floor, to start to feel your body, to start to bring some attention and focus to your breathing. So as you're standing here, start to really feel your feet pressing down into the floor. Begin to cultivate a nice steady breathing pattern. Feel your feet as they press down into the floor. Engage a little bit, causing your legs, maybe your top of your legs to engage a little more. Maybe feeling a little more engagement here, right in your core. So even though we're standing and not really doing a lot, you should feel a lot of things going on in your body. We rarely take the time to just stand, to notice our bodies, to breathe. So here's an opportunity just to allow that to be present. Allow yourself to take some nice, big, slow breaths as we prep for our next series of positions. Take another couple breaths here. And then slowly begin to relax your body. You can move your legs, shake out the legs, shake everything out, and relax. All right, so we've just done a standing pose, just getting ourselves prepared, ready for what comes next. And this next pose that we do, this exercise, is a combination of squats and heel raises. So come into a starting position of a nice standing position, just like we were in standing pose. Feet hip width, nice straight feet if you can get them, or as close as you can. Stand up nice and tall. And then inhale, bring your arms straight out in front of you. Take a nice big inhale. As you exhale, begin to bend your knees. Sink your hips any amount without worrying about how far down you come. Just finding whatever is there available in your body. And then take an inhale, press your feet. And then as you come up, as you reach standing position, start to lift your heels coming up off the floor. And then slowly exhale, lowering your heels, coming all the way back down, coming back into our squat position. Again, inhale, press your feet, come all the way up. As you get to standing, lift the heels, coming up onto the balls of your feet. And slowly come back down again, bend the knees. So we're coming back into our squat. Nice steady breath here. Inhale. So you can move at your own pace here. You don't have to follow mine. Coming back up onto the balls of the feet. Exhaling down. Inhaling back up. So just moving smoothly in and out of these poses here. Exhaling as we come down, as we come into our squat, bringing our hips a little further back, reaching a little further forward with our fingers. Coming a little deeper into the squat, inhaling, coming back up, pressing the balls of the feet down. Exhaling, lowering the hips, bending the knees, coming back into our squat, coming up one more time. Inhaling all the way back up, pressing the balls of the feet. And then slowly let the heels come down. Let your arms come back down to your sides. So that's the first part of our pose here, getting the legs moving. This time we're going to do these poses, but we're going to hold them. So we bring our arms back out in front of ourselves here, fingers spread wide. This time we're going to take an inhale. We come up onto the balls of our feet, lifting the heels up. But rather than moving, we're going to hold this pose for about 5 breaths here. Nice steady breathing. Pressing with the toes, pressing the balls of the feet, lifting the heels as high as you can. Trying to be as steady as you can. There's always going to be some fluctuations going on. One more breath here. And then we're going to lower the heels. We'll come down into our squat. And again, this time we'll hold the squat for about 5 breaths. Nice steady breathing. Trying to be as calm and relaxed in the pose as you can. Coming as deep as you can, whatever that is for you. Nice steady breathing for another couple breaths here. And then inhale, press your feet, coming back to standing. Lower your arms to your sides. And then shake your legs, shake your arms, and relax. So our next pose is going to be a high lunge. And for a high lunge, I really encourage you to give a chair a try. So to set that up, I've got my chair here. I'm going to turn the chair around a little bit so that I can grab the top of the chair here. And to come into this pose, step your left foot forward, have your right foot back. And the key things in this pose are have your feet parallel, have this front knee pretty much over this ankle. And then the last part is, in a high lunge, we have a tendency to come forward and bend. We're going to try and keep our shoulders up back over our hips so our back stays upright. So this is our starting position. And if you need the chair, right, then we want to come close enough to the chair so that our back can stay upright. All right? And then we're in this high lunge already, so we're already working our legs. And then slowly start to bend this front knee a little bit more. Press this back heel towards the floor a little bit more. Trying to come into as deep a pose as you can find. If you don't need the chair, you can bring your hands to your hips. Having your hands on the chair is very helpful for a lot of people, so don't worry about using the chair. I encourage it. It's up to you. And we're continuing to hold this lunge. If you want, maybe you can bring your palms together at your heart center. You could inhale your arms up. You can bring your hands to your hips. Like all standing poses, the emphasis is on the legs here. The arms and movement of the arms can make the pose harder. But ultimately, we're really trying to work the legs, not the arms here. So focus on your legs. And now we're going to come out. So if you don't need the chair, you're going to take a big inhale and step forward. If you need the chair, you're going to still take a big inhale and step forward. So either way, take a nice big inhale. Exhale, step. And back to standing. And then I'm simply going to step my other leg back. So my right leg is forward, left leg's back. Same starting. I want my shoulders back over my hips. I want my knee over my ankle. I want this back, my feet to be parallel. And we come back to our breathing pattern here. Nice, big, long, slow breaths. And as we stay in this pose, I'm going to keep trying to bend my knee a little more. I'm going to keep pressing that back heel towards the floor, trying to keep this leg nice and straight. And then again, I can do different things with my arms. I can raise them up. I can bring them to my hips. I can bring them to my heart center. I can keep them on the chair. So really, again, focus on the legs, not the arms so much. If your legs feel super steady, that's where you can really maybe bring a little more work into the legs by doing things with your arms. So it's completely up to you. Taking another few breaths here, sinking the hips a little deeper. And then again, as we get ready to come out, the key thing is taking that nice big inhale as you step forward, whether you're just have your hands on your hips or you're holding the chair. Either way, take a big inhale and step forward back to our standing position. So in this case, we started with a hold. This time we're going to take our high lunge and bring a little movement and activity to it. So we go back to our first side. So we come into our high lunge. And again, you can do this hands on your hips or the hands on the chair. But either way, we're going to take about 5 dips here of our back knee. So take an inhale. Exhale, bend that back knee, bringing it down towards the floor. Inhale, back up. Again, down and up. Maybe you don't need the chair. Down and up. Down and up. One more time. Bringing the knee down. Coming back up. And then same thing. Inhale, step forward, whether holding the chair or not. And we're back to standing. We step our other leg back, preparing for this side. Again, shoulders over your hips. Take a nice big inhale. Exhale, bend that back knee. Inhale, back up. Exhale down. Inhale back up. Exhale. Back up. Down. Back up. Last one. Bend that back knee. Come all the way back up. Big inhale. Step back to standing. And then take a breath or two here in a standing position. And then relax. Give the legs a little shake out here from working hard. And relax. Our next pose is work building on top of the high lunge and does require us to get down on the floor. So however you need to come down to the floor, you're going to have to come down to the floor for this next pose. And many people sometimes find being on their knees on a mat a little bit hard on the knees. So if you find that's the case, you can grab a blanket or any kind of cushion like that to put on the mat just to give your knees a little cushion. So I'll use the blanket to demonstrate. Here's a blanket. I'm just going to lie it across the mat here. And then I come onto my knees. And I'm going to start on my hands and knees. I'm going to come into a nice tabletop position. We'll be in this a few times, but I want you to think about having your hips over your knees, shoulder over your wrist, back body is flat, your gaze is straight down. And we're just going to take a few breaths here in tabletop. Just steady breathing. Even inhales and exhales. And then we have to come into a low, what will be a low lunge. So maybe walk the hands a little bit over to the side as you step 1 foot forward. I'm stepping my left foot forward here. And then I'm coming up. This is my low lunge position. And if this may be an unsteady position for you, so you can use the chair. I'll also point out that you can use the chair to get down to the floor as well as get up, as we'll demonstrate a little bit later. But for now, we're going to start here. So a couple things. Again, want to keep our shoulders over our hips, knee over our ankle, and try and get these back toes pointing as straight back as you can. From there, you can bring your palms together either at your heart center or maybe grab the chair just for stability. We're going to have a nice steady breathing pattern here, so take some nice slow breaths. And again, bring your focus and attention to your feet. So feel your feet pressing down into the floor. If you feel unsteady, keep holding on to the chair. If you feel like you can be stable without the chair, maybe bring your palms together at your heart center. Maybe bring your arms up towards the ceiling, bringing your arms out straight. Generally, again, we're doing things that are focused on our legs. Our movement of our arms can make the position a little bit more challenging. So you can choose what to do with your arms so long as your legs are working. So taking another couple breaths here, feeling a little bit of engagement coming from your core, feeling a nice lift up through your back body, through the crown of the head. And then to come out of this pose, maybe you bring your hands down towards the chair. Maybe then work your way down to the floor so that you can bring your leg back. And we come to our knees. We can come to a tabletop, whichever position is more comfortable for you. Either way, if we're up here and you have the ability, you can just step the other foot forward. If you're maybe down on your hands and knees, walk your hands a little bit over to the side, maybe grab the chair, step that other foot forward as you come up into a high lunge, a low lunge on this side. So again, the setup is the same. Knee over ankle, shoulders over hips, back foot trying to point as straight back as you can. Nice steady breathing. Find a nice upright position. Either use the chair for stability if that feels right for you. If you're nice and stable, you can bring your palms together. You can bring your arms up. You can bring your arms out straight. Whatever feels right for you. I'm going to just let you have that choice. Again, the focus and attention should be in your feet. Feel your feet pressing down. Feel a little bit of a lift coming up through the belly. Nice steady breathing. One more breath here. And then to come out, again, maybe walk your hands down to the chair, down to the floor, and coming back to our tabletop position. So in this case, come up for a minute. So we just did a holding version of our low lunge. And for this next section, it's again going to be about moving the body into and out of the poses. So we start here in our tabletop. And again, I'll say, if you have trouble even in tabletop here, right, you can walk this chair in. You could do a tabletop like this pose, all right? Anything that's going to be supportive of you. That's the important thing. So, let me put that back there. I'm in my tabletop. And we're going to come in and out of our low lunge pose. So, walk your hands over towards the right, step the left foot forward. We come up to our high lunge, to our low lunge. We come back down. We bring our leg back. We come back to tabletop. Walk the hands over to the other side. Step that foot coming back to our low lunge. Exhale back down. Coming back to our tabletop. And just keep switching sides. And the goal of this pose here, of this exercise, is to force the hips here to come in and out, moving through the range of motion it takes to move that leg back and forth. All right? Stepping the foot forward, making your way up, coming back down. So, 2 more rounds here. Feel free to do as many rounds of any of these exercises we're doing, right? I'm doing generally about 5. You can do 3. You could do 10. It's all about listening to your body. I've got 1 more round here I'm going to do. Coming back up. And last one. Stepping forward. Maybe I bring my arms up if I want. Hands to the chair. Back down to tabletop. And then we'll come up onto our knees. Shake out our arms. And relax. Okay, back to our next position. You'll note that I've brought the blanket back in for my knees. And I'm going to come to my tabletop position again. So again, we're going to focus on our positioning here. So hips over knees, shoulder over wrist, crown of the head forward, nice steady breathing. This next pose is called Bird Dog. On the inhale, we're going to reach the left arm forward, reach the right leg back. And the keys here is to try and find as level a back, even hips as you can. Rotate these toes down and towards the floor, flex the foot, reach the fingers forward. Nice steady breathing. And we're going to hold this for a few breaths. And then we come back to our tabletop position. And then we'll go right into the other side. We reach the right arm forward, left leg back. Now, this pose may be too much for some people to start off with. And so, if you find this pose is a little too challenging for you, let me show you a nice way to change it up. You can just do one arm, hold that, bring that down, reach one leg back. So in this case, right, where it's a little bit easier, but we're still getting all the actions in. Come bring the leg in, we reach the other arm forward. Bring the arm down. And we just cycle through. One arm, leg at a time. Working our way around through the pose. It's going to be generally a little bit easier than going into the full pose, but you're still going to be working your arms, working your core. In order to extend the leg back, keeping the hips level, focusing on nice steady movements, nice steady holding, so that we're not fluctuating all over the place. Like we're in this pose, you know, we don't want to be moving all over. We want to be as stable as we can make it. There's always going to be some fluctuation, but we're seeking stability, whether it's our legs or our arms. We'll do one more round here. And if you're someone that can do the full bird dog, we'll show another variant here. So again, you can do these as many times as you want, as many times as feels appropriate for you. And back to tabletop. So one more variation here. After you've done your bird dog holds, is to alternate back and forth. So we're going to inhale, bring the leg and arm out. Exhale down, inhale out. Exhale down, inhale. Exhale. And we're just going to repeat these motions several times, bringing movement into these poses. Combination of holding and moving allows the muscles to work in different ways. One more time. And back to tabletop. And then we walk back, coming all the way back up to our knees. Take a big inhale, shake out the arms. And relax. Our next pose, we just did our low lunge. The next pose is going to be a forearm plank pose. So to come into this pose, we come back down to our tabletop. So we're on our hands and knees. And take a breath or two here, just in a nice tabletop pose. And then I'm going to bring my body forward and down. Bring my fingers together, interlace my hands. Walk my elbows in a little bit. And then I step back, coming into a forearm plank. Find a nice steady breath. We're going to hold this plank for about a minute. And if you feel like a minute's just too long, right? You just come out, come back in. Do it as many times as you want, finding a nice steady breath. The goal here is to really build your stamina, ability to hold this pose. Reach the crown of the head forward, press the heels back, bringing a nice flatness to the body. Take some nice, long, slow breaths to help combat the body's need to come out of the pose. So your body might be starting to already be a little frustrated with the fact that you're holding this pose. The muscles are going to start to work. Try and manage that by taking nice, big, long, slow breaths. Finding a steady pace here. Keeping the legs strong. Feeling the heels pressing back towards the floor, towards the wall behind you. Got about 3 more breaths to go here. So hold on. We're almost done. One more breath. And then to come out of this pose, we lower our knees, we point our toes, and we're going to bring our forehead down to our hands to a resting position, giving the body just a few moments of rest. And then to come out, bring your hands back by your sides. Gently press up back to your knees, coming back to tabletop position. And then come all the way up to your knees. Shake out your arms. And relax. We are back in our pose here on our knees. Our next pose that we're going to do is Cobra pose. And for this one, I'm going to actually remove the blanket. Just going to move it out of the way. And I'm going to come all the way down to my front body. I'm going to bring my forehead down to the mat, point my toes, and bring my hands as back close to my low ribs as I can get them. It really requires to bend the elbow a lot. Take a few steady breaths, just allowing yourself to prepare. And then inhale, lift your head, just your forehead. And notice that just lifting the head requires some work in the back muscles. Just holding the head up. feeling the rise and fall of your body as you breathe. And then slowly start to bring some lift into the back body, lifting the shoulders, the chest, the head, trying to bring as much elevation via the back body, using the back body to work. Holding this pose nice and steadily, feeling the body moving with the breath a little bit. If you want to, you can bring some extra work into the pose by bringing the palms slightly off the floor, making the back body do all the work as opposed to using your hands for support. Bring the hands back down and then lower all the way back down to our starting position. So, I'm going to turn and face you. So the first, like all these poses, we're doing versions that are both holding and movement. So we just held our cobra. Now we're going to come in and out of cobra. So we come back to our starting position, forehead on the floor, hands back by the low ribs, elbows bent. Inhale, lift the head, chest, shoulders up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale down. Last one. Inhale up. And exhale down. And then using your hands, press up, push back, come to tabletop. And then come all the way up to your knees, shake out the arms a little bit. And relax. Okay, this next pose is going to combine several of the poses that we've already done. And for this, we're going to be practicing coming up off the floor. So I encourage you to get a chair ready, have a chair handy, especially if I think it's useful even if you don't think you need it, but if you do, then you definitely want to have it. So, as our starting position, we're on our knees, and the first thing I'll demonstrate is how to get up without the chair. So let's say we're here, we want to step 1 foot forward. Now this is coming into our low lunge position. To come up from the low lunge, I can curl my back toes under here. Inhale, I'm going to press my foot down, come up into my high lunge, and then I step forward all the way to standing. And then to come back, I can step into my high lunge. I lower my knee back into my low lunge. And then I'm going to bring my leg back and come back to my tabletop. Now, doing it with the chair is going to look very similar. So maybe I can't come into low lunge without keeping my hands on the floor. So I'll do my step into low lunge like we practiced. Come up. Maybe I grab the chair, curl my back toes under, and use the chair to help press up, come to standing. And then the same thing on the other side. I come into my high lunge, lower my knee, coming into my low lunge. Hands come down. I'm back to my tabletop position. So we can just practice this either way. Alright? I can practice coming down without the chair. I'm in my high lunge to low lunge, and then back to tabletop. So, another way to go is again to step to low lunge. So now I've got 1 foot forward. This is kind of in my low lunge. I can grab a chair here. I can maybe make a little room so that I'm in a squat, and then I can press up and come to my position, and then I can do the same thing on the way down. I come into my high lunge, walk my hands down the chair, coming into my low lunge, and back down to tabletop. So we can practice this. Alright, coming into my squat, come down, back to tabletop. Or I can practice without using my hands if I'm feeling nice and strong. Alright. Whichever version you're doing, right, doesn't matter, right? Ultimately, your goal here is to be able to come up and down from the floor, right? And we're using various parts of our body to get there. And we're working those parts of the body to get stronger, become more flexible. Working your way through. Really, there's no wrong or right way to do this. It's just a question of listening to your body, finding the movement, finding the actions that make it possible, using a chair, wall, or anything like that to help make this a doable exercise. So I'm going to do this one more time. I'll do this last one without the chair. So again, stepping, curling the toes, stepping forward, back, down, and back to tabletop. And then I'll come up one more time. All right. And then we come back to a nice standing position. Shake out the arms, shake out the legs. And relax. We close out this sequence with another standing pose. So we come back to a nice standing position, feet parallel, arms by your sides. Take some nice, big, slow, easy breaths. Feeling the feet pressing into the mat. Feeling the body, feeling nice and long and strong. Appreciative of what the body just did. Going through all of those positions and movements. Taking another few breaths here, standing up nice and tall, keeping your toes soft, feeling your feet pressing down into the floor. And then gently relax, shake out everything, arms, legs, and relax. Thank you for joining me in going through this sequence. I hope you found it helpful and useful. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and I look forward to hearing from you. Be well. Have a great rest of your day.